Mark Kirkby. Thank you for taking some time. You are in Arizona, I know, so we are Skyping this. Thanks for updating the SunPath Products NSL news with a new update from Arizona Airspeed. Valentine's meet weekend it was, a traditional Airspeed meet, and you're not jumping. What's going on?
Well, with Skydive Arizona and Airspeed, we decided for this year we would separate into player-coach teams with invited people from out of town, basically as a promotional event for both the team and the drop zone, and basically just spread a little goodwill in the community and just basically promote the Valentine's meet itself. We could have competed as we normally do, but we decided to do something that was a little bit more outgoing this time for the community. And
the big meets are coming up very soon anyway, so we keep the Airspeed outdoor scores for the Paraclete XP Outdoor Championship in a few weeks, and we are all excited.
Yeah.
Mark, but there is another thing which is actually a big event this year, and on a completely different agenda. I would say almost on an even bigger agenda. It is the 20-year Arizona Airspeed anniversary year. And
yes, it is. Yes,
and we could also call it actually the 20-year Mark Kirkby anniversary then, because you're the only one who is still from the original lineup. That is pretty amazing. How do you feel about that?
Oh, well, first off, I wouldn't call it the Mark Kirkby anniversary because I did take 3 years out of the team and did some other player coach teams, 2004, 5, and 6. So technically, I've only been on the team 17 years because I returned. But as far as the reunion for the team, with this being my last season as a competitor with the team, I figured, and it being the 20th year of the project, since it was created in 1994, I figured it'd be very appropriate and a really, really cool thing to have a reunion and bring back everybody from past years, combine it with the Arizona Challenge, so that we can celebrate with a lot of the community that has supported the team for so long. The people who go to the challenge are usually a lot of very, very good skydivers who've been in the sport for a very long time, like Arizona Airspeed, like to support the team, and we'll be able to do a really, really good reunion along with that community as well. So I'm very happy about it, very excited. It's a lot of work, but I really think it's going to be worthwhile and a fitting occasion for the project.
Yeah, Mark, let's go. It will be super exciting, I'm sure. You're probably expecting I would say almost like thousands of people coming over to celebrate with you.
I wouldn't say that. After all, it is May.
Yeah.
It's usually the challenge is it's usually not too hot, but it is getting there.
Yeah.
It's usually basically the season ender.
Mm-hmm.
It's usually the end of the official end of spring, even though it's usually the temperatures are close to around 100. But yeah, I don't think thousands, but there would definitely be well attended for sure.
Let's go back to the beginnings. It is so exciting always, and I know that the NSL news audience is always there's always high traffic when we go back into the earlier years, and people are interested in what happened decade ago. In this case, 2 decades ago. Before we go back to the present.
I feel old right now.
If you're still running 100 miles, you cannot be old. So that you cannot tell me that, Mark. Anyhow, the beginnings. There was a special reason how this Airspeed lineup actually came together. Because, as far as I remember, and I witnessed that actually, there was a big East-West rivalry those years. But eventually, in whatever it was, 1995 or so. You decided that this has to end because you could not beat the French teams.
That is correct.
So you decided this is over, East against West, we have to join forces. How did that happen?
Well, first of all, you said I decided, but I was a rookie at that time. I was very fortunate to have been provided the opportunity to join the Airspeed project when it was created in the first part of 1994. So I was very privileged to be at that place at that time. And Dan BC was resident of California at that time, and Jack Jeffries, who was in Florida in DeLand at that time. They both basically, after butting heads for years, decided they would join forces at that point and pool their resources and their talent and create what's now known as Airspeed. So yeah, that's how it started.
And that turned out to be very successful, obviously, because you became a world champion in the first world meet after Airspeed was founded, I believe, and you are a reigning 4-way world champion right now. So it must have been successful. It was successful.
Yeah, it is, and I'm very proud of what's been achieved by all the people who've been a part of it. I'm just one person, and to take more than just one person's credit would be inappropriate. It's a vast alumni that have contributed into the history of this project, and I want to recognize everybody who's brought something to the table. Even if it was just for a few years, everybody brings something, they leave something, and push the project forward for years to come. And hopefully it will continue exactly the way it's been for the last 20 years, hopefully 20 or more years to come.
And you just said a few minutes ago, that this will be your last lineup, your last world championship this year. Or have I heard this before? Or is it possible?
I've tried to leave several times.
I can imagine how hard it is to leave. I have never tried this actually, to leave. I've never been on a world champion level, but we have been competing together. So you're trying to get out of it. Why?
Trying to get out of it. I think leaving while I'm still in reasonable health is good, and picking the right time to leave when the lineup and the project is in a strong position to move forward, I think is a big part of it. I think one of the reasons I've been hesitant to leave has been because I don't want to leave the project when it might be either in a vulnerable place or in a place where it might need a little bit of just help before I leave. So I think for me, I can, with the way things are going now, it's with the current lineup, it's a very strong lineup, really good talent and really good prospects for a strong leadership to move forward. So I'm happy just to kind of step back, and I'd like to be the alternate for a short period, possibly, because I want to, I just want to be associated with the project and still work at SCAD of Arizona, and I look forward to being associated with the project for a long time to come.
Yeah.
It's the kind of project that even though you may not be a part of anymore, you never actually leave. It's always something that's past members never actually leave, and even though they may be competing, there's something special about having been on Arizona Airspeed, and people always associate themselves with the team, even if they're with another team. It's a very strong bond.
Right, and they never really leave anyway. I mean, who's your current alternate? Oh, it's probably Niklas now, right? I guess. Or
Niklas is our current alternate at the moment.
Okay, and there have always been alternates from earlier lineups when it came to the nitty-gritty, at the events, and so you will be the alternate for the next years. Well, talking about leadership, who will be running with the ball in the next years? Is it Thomas? Can you talk about this, or is it just happening naturally?
The leadership style of the project has always been somewhat of a rotation.
Yeah.
It's never ever one person in charge. It's usually a combination of rotating through the different personalities, the different people. And that way everybody gets to put their flavor on a particular section of training on the schedule, which is really good. If you want to work on certain things, you can work on them during your tenure as captain. And we have a master plan, of course, that we come up with, and we try to stick to as best we can. But basically, we come up with a plan as a team, and then we rotate whoever is the leader. Of course, at some point, this is going to be somebody who's been around for a while, longer than the others. And generally, they may have a few more words to say than some others, but it's not anything like one person driving this thing. It's a team effort for sure.
Yeah, and there's a lot of guidance available. Obviously, you stay where you are. You will be available, and well, we shouldn't even talk about this because you still have a very exciting and challenging season ahead of you. And I think I'm sure that you would much rather focus on this than on your retirement after that. There's strong competition. Hayabusa is coming back with the same lineup for the first time, and they were the high favorites, I would say, at least last year or after the Dubai, the Mondial. And now the situation has changed. You have caught up almost to the same or exactly to the same performance, scoring, speed level, or how do you see it?
Well, I'd like to think that would be true, but you never really know until you get it in the air. So right. That's like what you said earlier about it being exciting and challenging. I mean, that's pretty much every year that you're competing. But you're right, and the competition at Windor and Amphoria Bravo was very fun. It was really good to see Hayabusa again, both in competition and just to see the guys. We hadn't seen them in a long time. We got to know each other again, and it was a very, very good sporting event when it came to sportsmanship and goodwill. So for me, at my stage in my career, that's very high, a high priority for me. Yeah. It's always good to have a really, really healthy relationship with your competition. It's just much more rewarding that way. And those guys are, they've definitely developed into really, really mature and responsible and happy competitors. And I got a lot of respect for Hayabusa.
Yeah, and the other side, because the relationship between the US team and the French team in the early Airspeed years was not the same as it is with Hayabusa, as an example now.
Well, teams change over the years, and when you really, when you get super competitive, sometimes it can affect your sportsmanship, and that's something that you'll see from time to time in any sport. Not ideal, in my opinion, but it's just it's the nature of the beast. But it's not. That's not what it's about. What it's about is taking responsibility for the sportsmanship side of the game, and that's it. Nobody ever really wants to be a role model, but unfortunately, in sports, you're forced into that role, and good sportsmanship should be something that is there. Everybody needs to take responsibility.
Very true, and you're a role model not only in skydiving. You're living like a sportsman, like an athlete, with your running adventures and all color. And I think the rest of Airspeed has probably learned to be very athletic too, from the early Airspeed role models. Now, I remember a famous word by Nicholas, and it was probably ringing in the ears when you did not win in Amphoria Brava. You don't win a world meet, you don't win a world championship in the tunnel. I guess that was the same when you met Hayabusa the first time. Then at the same time, the Shamrock Showdown, Paraclete XP Outdoor Championship now, has generated year by year the future world champion. So is it, do you feel pressure as of the first serious outdoor competition this year?
I think any competition, I don't care how seasoned you are as a competitor, you always feel the pressure to some extent. And I don't see this year being any different. Yeah, for sure, there's going to be pressure. But you know what? We wouldn't do it if we didn't have a little bit of pressure. As competitors, I get addicted to the experience, the challenge, and being pushed in competition. Regardless of where you are in the scores, it's always the same. If you're 6 points ahead or 4 points behind, you're still fighting for your life in competition, regardless of what the score says. So yeah, it's going to be a challenge, and we're going to put up on a heck of a fight, and we're going to put our best stuff forward. And I can't wait,
Great. We can't wait until your arrival here. What's the rundown to the competition? It's the second weekend in March, so we're not very far. Any training ahead of you? Any special preparations?
We have a little training. We've done the bulk of it since the new year. So we have some tunnel and some jumps, and then we'll be hitting the road, of course. So we feel pretty well trained. It's pretty easy to train here at Skydive Arizona. So
right.
Sometimes it's easy to overtrain. So
yeah.
I think we got a good balance going so far.
And then we see the rematch, the indoor rematch at Paraclete first in Rayford.
Yeah.
On the last beginning on the 28th of I think it's the 1st of March, right?
Yeah.
And then a week later.
Kurt, I got to stop you there.
Yeah.
I have to attend to something.
Yeah, we're done anyway. I know it's time for the family, the America. So thank you very much for taking the time, Mark, and we can't wait to welcome you very soon here on the East Coast. Thanks.
Hey, no worries. And I look forward to seeing you real soon, Kurt.
Okay. Thanks, Mark.